Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special conversation today. I'm really thrilled to welcome Marina Löwe. She is a remarkable figure, I would say, in the world of personal and also entrepreneurial transformation. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So, hello Marina, it's really an honor to have you with us today.
Thank you, Ricardo. It's really nice to have an interview on some essential things that drive me, or that's at least what I understood on the things that I'm passionate about. So I really look forward to this.
You have this saying, right? Um, Appreciation is not a luxury, it's a necessity, right? That's something that you always emphasize on. Could you perhaps also dive deeper into this philosophy for us, please?
So as I'm working a lot with coaches and teams and organizations on what's your why? So why should people follow you? Of course, the question was, why should people follow me? So what's the core purpose that I see with my work? And the word appreciation, even more in German, stuck with me because in German it's Wertschätzung. It's that you appreciate the value. And the more I was swirling around, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What's important to me? And how do I do it? The more it became clear to me that at the heart of everything is appreciation. If you cannot appreciate yourself, including yourself sometimes not being competent, sometimes failing at things, sometimes being scared or worried. So not just all the beautiful things that we keep sharing on social media or that we want other people to see, but can you also appreciate the things that you don't want anybody to see about yourself? And the more we come to appreciate ourselves as a whole, the more we can actually appreciate others, and the easier it gets to be in relationships and to be less personally attacked if you want to listen to things or if you have to change things, because it's not about you. Many times it's not about you. It's just about something that you do. It's about something that's happening in the environment. And if you appreciate each other, boy, is that a joy to work with people who appreciate different perspectives in the room. And if that appreciation is happening for both sides, you can actually find the best solution. And if that's possible, you can also start appreciating the environment. Can we appreciate that we have this environment that we're working in? This is the state of our society. These are the regulations. These are the limits and planetary boundaries that we have. If we really could appreciate the environment that we're in and the home that it's given to us, we start to act very, very different. And that's why appreciation for me really is at the core of future companies. Because if you don't appreciate, and it's all just about appreciating the profit, you will be very surprised to wake up one day that your current system doesn't work anymore, and it already starts to crack. So,
do you see any kind of pattern that is repeating in your consultancies?
so the one thing that I've probably heard most of the time, and why they requested me to do a workshop, a training, coach somebody, they don't listen. And that's very interesting. I keep saying it. I said it so many times, but they don't listen. And that's one of the most interesting things, because we all want to be heard and seen. And we get very frustrated if we feel that we're not being listened to. And we interpret that from the actions that we see from other people. And we feel like, I told you to go left and you go right. What was not clear about my communication? And the beautiful thing that I really love about teamwork and coaching, and that's become such a strong habit of mine that I cannot not do it, is to take different perspectives. And that's a beautiful moment when you have a team workshop or a coaching where people go, oh, I never saw it that way. And then they have this little revelation or a big revelation. I've had leaders walk out of the coaching room, take a deep breath, go to the restroom, come back and tell me a few hours later that that was the toughest conversation that they ever had, because it was a very uncomfortable thing to look at. And most of the time you cannot change the person that's in front of you, but what you can do is check, what was I doing and what could I do differently so it could have a different impact on the person in front of me. And that's, I think, the core challenge for leaders, to find what is it that I'm doing? What am I in control of? And how can I say it differently? And what can I do in addition to what I say, so that people actually listen and do what needs to be done?
If you then also think of, perhaps in this context or in another context, of all the big projects that you have done in the past. So you have worked for major companies like Bayer, right, and Deutsche Bank. What was the one project or the one initiative where you would say this really stands out as particularly impactful in terms of the transformation that you achieved, for example?
The one project that was really close to my heart was a manufacturing company. It's part of a corporate that produces indoor comfort climate solutions, or indoor climate comfort solutions. What they had was a history of being bought and sold, restructuring after restructuring after restructuring. It's a rural area, so people know each other. They go to the same city parties, they meet each other in the same restaurants, because it's a very small town. So it's hard to not meet each other again. And one of the leaders, that was one of the most touching stories, was he said, I still remember the worst day of my life. And it was when I had to walk into the production hall with a list of names of people I had to fire. And they were hiding behind the machines. And he said, I still get goosebumps when I think about that. And he said, when we were called to the management team, it was sitting there on Fridays and knowing the question isn't if you're being yelled at, but what for this week. So it was a culture of blaming, and it was a radical loss of trust that they had. The way that helped them get through these market struggles was that they picked up the phone, that they walked over to each other, that they sat down together and said, what does the customer really need? And sales went to production and said, how can we solve this? And that saved them so much money, so much time, so much conflict. And that was one of the most beautiful things to see, that when I left because I felt, okay, my job is done, because they called each other and they worked with each other, and they didn't need anyone anymore to intervene and tell them how to cooperate. So I'd also done that with different locations, Sweden, Italy, Ireland, etc. And then I felt, okay, now the productions are really close to each other. They shared best practices. They called each other for help when they had a problem. And that shows me that whatever hurtful history you have and whatever has happened in the past, if you take the time and invest the time to appreciate what has happened and what it did and what you need to move further, people can actually really do that.
Talking about a different approach, this brings me, of course, to you, welcoming you again as a new member of the Santos collective, and we're really proud to have you on board. How do you envision that our collaboration, for example, our think tank, can influence the future of leadership and also the organizational development?
I recognize that meeting each other in summits, on conferences, working together on projects, we work on transformation that sometimes are really hard, because we are working on changing the status quo. We're working on supporting people in leaving the comfort zone, on changing systems that feel kind of broken or stuck, and helping them get unstuck and find a way out. And that can cost a lot of energy sometimes, because of course you bring a lot of energy into these projects. And these networks and collaborations for me have been essential to do the work that I'm doing, because all of us need to recharge. We need to bounce off ideas. We need to do what we preach, right? Check on ourselves. Am I still on the right track? Is my observation helpful here? Am I offering a solution that fits the problem? Am I causing new problems that I haven't considered? So that's what I appreciated about the workshops that we are having, that we as creators can bring in perspectives to the organizations that they don't have inherently, because they are all part of the system and we are not. So we don't have the same stakes as they do. We're not as attached to the current status quo. And I think it takes more than one, more than two, more than three people to actually make those projects happen and to help those shifts to come about.